We imagine human beings as naturally cooperative and wired for harmony, but history suggests that under enough pressure, the weight of our own biology makes it impossible for this kind of peace to hold. Thomas Hobbes arrived at this conclusion in 1651 as he watched his country tear itself apart in a civil war. He argued that the belief in inherent human cooperation is a dangerous, fatal delusion. When the comforts of society are stripped away, we find a different biological baseline. We are restless and acquisitive, driven by a primary instinct to preserve our own lives at any cost. This suggests that peace functions as an engineered escape from our own biology, a fragile, unnatural construct. Hobbes illustrated this by stripping away the police, the courts, and the government to reveal a theoretical vacuum he called the condition of mere nature. In this vacuum, we face a parity in our ability to destroy one another. Even the weakest individual can find a way to kill the strongest, leveling the playing field of threat. This equality is the source of our terror. If anyone can kill you, you can never relax. This breeds a condition of diffidence, a paranoia where the only rational survival strategy is to strike your neighbor before they strike you. When every individual concludes they must attack to survive, the environment becomes a war of every man against every man. You might expect morality to intervene, but in a stateless vacuum, the concepts of justice and injustice find no purchase. Where there is no common power, there is no law. To navigate this world, a person relies on force and fraud. In the absence of a state, these become the only functional virtues available for survival. Hobbes argued that without a common power to hold us in awe, we default to a state of freezing, brutal violence. Life becomes solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short, sinking back into the mud. Humans possess enough rational foresight to realize that this war of all against all is self-defeating. We have a desperate shared interest in finding an exit. That exit is the social contract. It is a calculated agreement where we willfully surrender our unlimited natural freedoms in exchange for physical security. But an agreement without a sword is just words. To enforce the peace, all individual rights must be transferred to a single, undivided, absolute sovereign. Hobbes called this authority the Leviathan, a mortal god designed to monopolize violence. But look closely at its body. It possesses no power of its own. It is composed of the citizens themselves, sustained by their mass submission. This makes the state an artificial weapon, forged purely from our mutual terror of one another. Hobbes explained why we need the sovereign. To understand how that sovereign must actually behave, we look to the pragmatism of Niccolò Machiavelli.
Machiavelli subsisted on the effectual truth, a commitment to govern based on how the world actually is, rather than utopian ideals. The effectual truth is that human beings remain self-interested. A ruler who relies on the moral goodness of their subjects invites their own destruction. Instead, the pragmatic ruler must exercise virtue. This is the disciplined willingness to perform harsh, necessary actions to maintain the state, regardless of conventional morality. The sovereign maintains an absolute monopoly on force, ensuring no rival factions can emerge. While fragile connections of love are broken by self-interest, fear is maintained by a dread of punishment. It is safer to be feared than loved. The Leviathan secures civilization by weaponizing our own self-preservation instincts against us. This reveals that the civilized modern world, with all of its comforts and order, exists entirely as a state of suspended violence. Modern obedience to the law is driven by the Leviathan's implicit promise of destruction for anyone who fails to comply. Your social contract is a mutual hostage situation, mediated every hour of every day by an absolute authority. Danger arises when a state becomes weak or overly idealistic, losing touch with the effectual truth of human nature. The moment a ruling authority loses the power to inspire fear, the leverage disappears. The contract dissolves. Without this architecture of fear, the archway fails. Humanity returns to the freezing, brutal mud of our nature.